I am back on the 356 today, continuing on this battery box piece, and you can see these two panels here that I thought I was going to save. I thought I was just going to tack a little bit onto the bottom of these, and the more I looked at them, this replacement of the bottom wouldn't be too terrible. Like that's totally doable. But then you look up here, and part of the front end accident really wrinkled that stuff up. So it's like, got to pull it back out. And this piece is dented. I tried to get a hammer up in there and start straightening it out, but right behind there is our axle tubes, front beam actually. Can't get anything up in there. So again, you got to remove that, straighten it out. By the time you do that, these pieces are only like 150 bucks for both of them. And I thought, you know, some new steel might not be too bad. So I started measuring everything, took some measurements off the back to the axle and a bunch of stuff. And a lot of these things are kind of floating out in the air and they're replacement parts, so you never know. But I started lining up the edge of this with that opening, that flange that's up in there, you can see. And as I copied the measurements over to our new battery box, it's like right on the money. So I think this is the direction I want to go. Just kind of measure what's there, measure this offset, and then I've got the other pieces under here. I'll put this along the back, kind of draw some lines, go back, measure some more things from this piece to kind of a front edge, you know, just go back and forth, bunch of measurements. And I think I should have it in the right spot. Then I got to cut the floor even with this opening. So I've started marking all of that so that I can punch holes in it for welding, but then I can also cut out the piece of this floor that we don't really need. So I've got this panel mocked up. You can see my pencil lines from the other panel. And might be off like a 16th or something in here, but everything's lining up pretty good. This piece is a little bit long, so it sticks up over here, which I think is supposed to stick up a little bit, but I think I wind up cutting maybe ½ inch off the top of this when we're all said and done. But everything's kind of fitting up pretty good. I do know I've got to do a little chopping on this one where it returns into here just to make it fit nice against here from the factory. They did a really good job of coping where those two meet. So I just need to do that with this panel and make sure it meets up nice. So I'm gonna undo this one and just kind of take a look. So here you can see we definitely want to keep this panel kind of back behind this hump here. I could probably scoot this way 1/8 of an inch or so, and you can see there's not a ton of overlap here. So I've got to figure out either this panel comes back a little bit or this one goes forward just a little bit. We've got to have enough overlap. The other thing I can do is this one that goes along here. I can angle it and cheat it in a little bit, and then the top of the panel we could bend back. There's nothing super hypercritical on the bottom of this that has to connect to anything. It just kind of floats in midair. So I think that's what I might do, is just put a little hangulation on there. I know this panel here, the one that goes here, it's in the spot that I want it. I don't want to cheat it back I think there's a steering box or something that goes behind there. So it gets a little bit critical there, just making sure you have enough room for everything. So yeah, I think we're gonna start getting this trimmed up to where everything's gonna start fitting good. So here we are, clamped up a little bit. Trimmed this in here to get everything fitting sweet. I measured the offset here and then measured up on the existing one, identical. These pieces are really fantastic. These are Stoddard pieces. I think these outside pieces are also Stoddard, really well made. It was these middle ones. I don't know where they came from, but yeah, yuck. But we're good here. I've got a little bit of just grinder, flap disc cleanup to do. Sorry about the gravelly voice. I've got long COVID and it's been killing me. Sent me to the hospital for a little bit. So anyway, I've got these fit up. This is exactly where I want them. So I've punched holes here in the edges kind of on both of these pieces. And then I've punched the flange that's sitting behind here. So I'm going to drill back through there for probably 3 or 4 clecos to hold it while I'm welding. And let's get busy doing that. I've got my back edge marked here. Sorry if that's not terribly visible for you, but we're going to cut down this line here just on the blue tape. So there we go. Got that all cleared out. Got the ends cut off, so these returned under. They still do back here, but had to cut those off where this ends because that's not needed. I need to just clean it up a little bit, but pretty much right on the tape. One little wiggle in there, which ain't any big deal. We're gonna have seam sealer on this and all that kind of stuff, but I think time to fit up the back panels, make sure this all works out. Well, she's starting to look more like a box. That's good. Got clecos in on this back panel, and this dimension on the car here was 2 7/8, and I think you can see it's lining up all the way across there, nice and square. This is nice and square across here with regard to the measurements. So this lip winds up just right before this impression starts. So like the edge of this lip and the edge of this impression are kind of the same. So I feel like that might be how the factory lined some things up. So at least it lines up with the measurements I took on the car. And then these little guys here, I've got a picture of a replacement part where they welded this whole thing together, and this comes up proud, as does this piece. Now, I did measure what's on the car now and kind of the width of this flange, and I think I need to take maybe like a 1/4 inch off the top of that or something like that, but we're not going to do any of that till we get it fit up on the car. And I'm going to fit it all with these clecos in place so that I can put it up on the car, make sure everything's right, and then if I have to trim, I can take it apart and do the trimming and put it back together. Once I'm confident that we have everything right, then I'll come over here and weld it on to that part of the car. So exciting stuff. I took a little time and removed the battery box remains from the car here, and big reason why is there's spot welds all the way up the back side of where the new battery box is going to go, and they're on the inside of this one, and I've got to remove those, and trying to do that with the old battery box in place was impossible. I couldn't fit my hands up in there. So anyway, we've removed it. Now I'm going to work on getting all the little spot welds out. So this line right here is the back of the battery box, and this piece of metal sort of overlaps it from the back side, and then the front beam overlaps it from the front side. So it's sandwiched between those two pieces. And this side is a little bit different in that it comes through the battery box on this side, but we're not going to be able to replicate that. So I'll probably just saw it off even with the back of the battery box, the new battery box. And then you can see I've got some work to do on this front beam, just making a little bit of making a little patch panel for that down there. So with the back wall of our battery box in place, I did keep a few parts of the original intact, kind of top to bottom. Well, that one's got rust on the bottom, but you get the idea. So that I could match up where the body lines are, where the indents are and that sort of thing. If you can tell, but I've got a little scribe line in here to let me know where to trim this piece off so that it's the same as the factory piece. Then you can see it, the original plugs that got to go in there. Then there's this bracket. It kind of looks like an extinguisher bracket or something like that. I don't know, but it did not come installed on the new one. So I just got to work it off of there and measure, make sure that I install it in the right spot, or all the concourse judges will take deductions because I don't have it in the right spot. I think that's going to be it for today. Like I said, I'm still dealing with the fallout from long COVID, and I have like zero energy and have to take very, very frequent breaks and can't do anything hard. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. We'll come back. Hopefully next time we'll be able to fit up the new battery box and just see what it looks like in place. Fingers crossed for that one. I hope you had a good Labor Day weekend for those of you who are here in the States. If not, I just hope you had a great weekend. We'll talk to you later.